Chapter 6 of Boruto's Two Blue Vortex is out. Kind of leaks and all that, and a lot, and I mean a lot, happened this chapter, which has kind of been the way that Boruto has gone for the last year or two. Kishimoto's pen has been on fire since the Ishiki fight, and my man hasn't missed in I don't know how long. And while in Chapter 6 of Two Blue Vortex, a lot of massive and very obvious things happen, like Mitsuki showing his post-time skip Snake Sage mode, and Shikamaru revealing that he's cracked the code that Boruto and Kawaki's positions have been swapped in his memories, revealing that while the brainwashing might have worked on him, he's now worked his way out of it. But by far and away, the most important thing that happened, at least to me and maybe to you, because you are a viewer of mine and therefore we have similar interests, was Boruto once again using a move that we didn't know he had access to, which has kind of been a trend in Two Blue Vortex. Really, the only chapter where Boruto hasn't used the new jutsu, I think, was Chapter 1. And technically, to get where he got to in Chapter 1, he might have used Flying Raijin. But Chapter 2, we get the unveiling of Rasengan Uzuhiko. Chapter 4, I believe we got Flying Raijin, but that might have been Chapter 3. No, Chapter 4, we got the unveiling of Flying Raijin. Chapter 3, we got the unveiling of Toads. I don't think he used the new jutsu in Chapter 5, but I think that's mostly because it was mostly flashback. And in Chapter 6, it was revealed that Boruto has purple lightning, which I know may not be as exciting as Flying Raijin or Rasengan Uzuhiko, but it might have the same possible plot repercussions of Boruto using Flying Raijin. That is to say, in the moment that Mitsuki launched his chakra snakes at Boruto and he activated purple lightning and slashed off the head of those snakes, the first question that we asked, like the first question that we asked when Boruto used Flying Raijin to jump between dimensions, was, who taught you that, son? And genuinely, we don't know. See, Boruto is well known by this point to be a genius. But even a genius needs to be taught things. And the list of possible people who could have taught Boruto purple lightning is pretty short. In fact, it's only 3 names. And while 2 of the names are confirmed to have trained Boruto at some point, the third name on the list keys us into the possibility of Kakashi not being in the village, and maybe more than that, not aligning with the village. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, because today we're answering the question, who taught Boruto purple lightning, or Kakashi has become a rogue ninja? But before we get to talking about whether or not Kakashi is a rogue ninja, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you don't want me to deem you a rogue ninja, guys, go ahead and follow my other channel, The Weeb Commander, where instead of talking about Naruto and Boruto, I talk all other anime. Or if you just like the idea of me talking about anime, then you're gonna love my anime podcast, Otaku's Anonymous, where me and Danny Mata break down everything that happened in anime and manga this week. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Or if you guys just want to look like you keep up with all things anime, go ahead and meander on over into my merch store, otakusanonymous.net, where you can pick up some of the greatest anime t-shirts, sweatshirts, and sticker packs known to man. But before we get into all that, today we gotta talk about one of our favorite recurring sponsors of the page, Raycon. Listen, I know. You've heard all about Raycon on every page on YouTube. That's because Raycon's everyday earbuds look, sound, and feel better than they ever have before. And in this small of a package, you're getting 8 hours of playtime and 32 hours of battery life from the charging case, all at half the price of the competitors. You can get 2 pairs of these for the price of any competitor out there. The everydays have stereo sound and passive noise isolation, which allows you to enjoy your videos and music with stereo sound enhancement, which leaves just you and your music. You see, because Raycon products block out background noise like no other, making it easier to focus on your work, your hobbies, or your workouts. But while Raycon does offer noise isolation modes, they also offer awareness modes, which allow you to do things like hold a conversation while listening to music, keep an ear out for your kids running around the house while listening to Otaku's Anonymous. But regardless of whether or not you're going for noise isolation or awareness, you'll never have to worry about these earbuds breaking on you, as these are built to withstand a whole lot, as they're both sweat and water resistant. And trust me when I say that sweat resistance is a massive factor in why I love these so much, because when I work out, I get quite sweaty. But as you can see, not only are they incredibly resistant, but they're also incredibly sleek, and they stick in your ear like no other competitor ever could hope to. So what are you guys waiting for? If you're crushing in the gym like me while listening to Otaku's Anonymous, there's no better option than the everyday earbuds from Raycon. So click the link in my description or go to buyraycon.com/nchammer23 to get 15% off your Raycon purchase, plus free shipping. Purple lightning. For those of you who don't remember or simply just don't know, purple lightning is a jutsu created by Kakashi to emulate the Chidori without the drawback of the tunnel vision caused by the Chidori. Chidori, or I guess the Raikiri in his case. And therefore, Purple Lightning is kind of like a perfected version of Chidori. Now, Kakashi first created this jutsu in his first light novel, Lightning in the Frozen Sky, which tells the story of Kakashi attacking a blimp which has been taken over by criminals, but it's mostly about the overarching theme that after the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, Tsunade decided that Kakashi was going to be the next Hokage, but Kakashi didn't really want to be the Hokage. And so for about 2 years after the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, even though he was the 6th Hokage, Tsunade was still fulfilling all the daily roles of the Hokage. And thus the story is about Kakashi coming to grips with the fact that he's the leader of the village because he doesn't feel as though he deserves to be the leader of the village. And somewhere down the line of this story, Kakashi decides to recreate his Chidori. Because obviously during the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, Kakashi loses his Kamui Eye when Madara goes light bulb shopping at Mach 16 and plucks his eyeball out of his face. And that eyeball then eventually ended up in Obito, who then eventually ended up in an urn, since eyeballs are made of cells. They're also in the urn, which meant that after the loss of his Sharingan, the Kakashi could no longer use his iconic jutsu, the Chidori, a jutsu he created, and therefore Kakashi needed a way to supplement his lightning abilities. And therefore he created a jutsu based off Madara's Yin-release Lightning Dispatch, also known as Madara's Fingertip Purple Lightning. The old guy from Star Wars, the Darth Sidious, Palpatine. Watch anime. Star Wars is an anime. That's not true. It literally has 2 seasons. Palpatine's not in those, okay? All those episodes aren't canon to the Star Wars universe. And thus, Kakashi, trying to emulate Madara's Purple Lightning fingertip attack, decided to create Purple Lightning. And thus, so far as we knew, up until Chapter 6 of 2 Blue Vortex, Kakashi was the only user of Purple Lightning. And that made sense, because there was only 3 known users of Chidori, and those were Sasuke, Sarada, and Kakashi. And Sasuke and Sarada still have the Sharingan. And while one could make the argument that learning Purple Lightning as opposed to Chidori is still the better choice, and therefore people like Sasuke and Sarada could use Purple Lightning without the need to activate their Sharingan, which inevitably leads to a way smaller chakra suck. Usually if Sasuke and Sarada are in combat, their Sharingan are activated, so it's kind of a null point. But that brings us to the core question of this video. Who taught Boruto Purple Lightning? Well, as I see it, and as I've already established, there's 3 possible answers. And while some of them seem more possible than others, they're all pretty close to each other in terms of possibility. So let's start with the obvious. The person who taught Boruto Purple Lightning has to be the only guy who knows it, right? It has to be the guy who created it, right? Because if only one person knows it, then only one person can teach it, right? Well, yeah, of course, that's a perfectly fine line of logic. But it doesn't answer the inarguably way more important question: why Kakashi? See, Kakashi, like everybody else, should be affected by Ada's omnipotence, even though at one point Kakashi did have access to 6-pass chakra, and access to 6-pass chakra might be able to break you out of or make you less affected by Ada's omnipotence. However, that's just a possible theory to explain why people like Himawari are less affected by omnipotence, and to explain why people like Sarada are all but immune to it. Now, it doesn't necessarily answer the question of why Sumire is immune to omnipotence, but it would explain Himawari and Sarada. But here's the thing with Kakashi's stint with 6-pass chakra: it was temporary. And while it's still kind of super up in the air as to whether or not Sasuke and Naruto's stint with 6-pass chakra was in fact temporary, as pretty much the strongest argument we have for Naruto still has access to the 6-pass chakra is the fact that when he uses his 6-pass chakra, his pupils turn yellow, and they still do that in Boruto. Kakashi most definitely does not have access to that chakra anymore. Kakashi was loaned the remaining amount of 6-pass chakra that Obito had in his body, and that 6-pass chakra manifested as the dual MS. And therefore, by the end of the battle against Kaguya, Kakashi, no longer able to manifest the dual MS, had run out of 6-pass chakra. And since the source of his 6-pass chakra was Obito and not Hagoromo, it was an incredibly finite source, because Obito is dead, Hagoromo's God? Like, I want to say not dead, but like he is dead, but he is still you get it. And thus, there's a better chance than not that Kakashi was affected by omnipotence. But that may help this possible answer. See, because Kakashi told Sasuke when he returned to the village that if he ever went rogue again, that Kakashi himself would go out to find Sasuke. Cut Naruto out of the equation entirely. Kakashi was going to be the one kicking down doors and taking names. And as we all know, Sasuke left the village again. And since Sasuke left the village defending Boruto, he was once again a rogue shinobi. And for somebody who doesn't know that Boruto is Boruto and that Kawaki is Kawaki, and in fact has these two people mixed up in their brain like Kakashi would, this would look like to Kakashi that Sasuke plotted with somebody new to the village to finally kill Naruto, something that Kakashi saw Sasuke try to do multiple times. And as the teacher that brought the two of them together, Kakashi would feel responsible for tracking down and possibly killing Sasuke. But here's the thing. We haven't seen Kakashi yet in Two Blue Vortex, which isn't all that crazy because Kakashi just doesn't play that much of a role in Boruto. Really, the only time that Kakashi ever shows up in the story is when him, Tsunade, and the village elders have to consult Naruto on Hokage things, because Kakashi, as a living and retired Hokage, is immediately put on to the Council of Elders. Really, the only other times outside of that Kakashi shows up in Boruto is his one fight against Kashin Koji and the Steam Ninja Scrolls, which was actually adapted into the anime from a light novel. Well, the light novel was adapted into a manga that was adapted into the anime. Well, that's not true technically. It was a light novel, and then it was in the anime, and then they made it a manga. And then I think they re-put it in the anime. I don't know if they did it twice, but if they did, that's insane. But the point that I'm driving at here is that Kakashi doesn't play a big role in Boruto, so we can't put that much stock in not seeing him for the first 6 chapters of Two Blue Vortex. That's kind of a standard stint of time to not see Kakashi. In fact, if we didn't see Kakashi for another 6 chapters, I still wouldn't be all that concerned. But what if the real reason that we haven't seen Kakashi yet, and the reason he didn't retake over as Hokage as I thought he was going to after Naruto disappeared, wasn't because he isn't important to the plot, but because he wasn't in the village? What if the day that Omnipotence was fired off, Kakashi heard that Boruto had killed Naruto and Sasuke is fleeing with him? Well, naturally, the first thing that Kakashi would do in this situation is go after Sasuke. And after chasing after Boruto and Sasuke, eventually Kakashi catches up because, and I shouldn't have to remind you, Naruto said that Kakashi's nose is better than Kiba's, that he's more intelligent than Shikamaru, and that his taijutsu is better than Rock Lee's. And while the taijutsu bit doesn't have to do with tracking ability. When it comes down to tracking people down, Kakashi is pretty much as good as it gets in the Naruto universe. However, rather obviously, in a battle between Kakashi against Sasuke and Boruto, Kakashi would be at a rather big disadvantage. Thus, what if either Kakashi is defeated by Sasuke and then they convince him that his memories have been altered, or before they even do any fighting, they convince Kakashi that his memories have been altered. The core to any of this is that Kakashi figures out that his memories have been altered. And now that Kakashi understands that his memories have been altered, and now that he has an excuse to be away from the village looking for Sasuke, Kakashi decides to become a secondary advisor to Boruto, possibly moving in the shadows to ensure Konoha's safety from the likes of Ada and Daemon. And since Ada told Boruto before the time skip that she wouldn't look for him no matter who asked, if Kakashi was with Boruto and Sasuke, Ada wouldn't know any better, assuming she kept her word. And while advising Boruto, who has a very clear affinity for lightning release, as he was able to add lightning to a Rasengan, something that Kakashi couldn't do, and what created the Chidori in the first place, Kakashi decided to teach Boruto something that he would never end up doing because he was too successful at adding lightning release to the Rasengan. And that thing is Chidori, except not Chidori, it's Purple Lightning. And this would kind of make sense because Purple Lightning has way more offensive ability than the lightning release Rasengan. Because while obviously an invisible, throwable Rasengan is incredible, the sheer cutting ability of Purple Lightning or Raikiri or Chidori is uncomparable to anything else. And since Boruto is already committing a large amount of his training to learning Kenjutsu, sword play, it's only natural for Kakashi to teach him how to augment the sharpness of his sword using lightning release, something that Sasuke uses Chidori for, but that's not something that Boruto can do. Since we're talking about Sasuke, let's talk about Sasuke, because there's also the possibility that Sasuke was the person who taught Boruto Purple Lightning. But how, Nick, you cry from your rooftops? Sasuke doesn't know Purple Lightning. And like, yeah, I guess he doesn't know it, but come on. Let's think for a second. We know because of chapter 5 that Sasuke taught Boruto basically everything he knew. And I'm not saying that Sasuke taught Boruto everything that Boruto knows. I'm saying that Sasuke has taught Boruto everything that Sasuke knows. Well, at least they joked about Sasuke not having much more to teach Boruto after the 1 year that they spent together, to which Sasuke follows up by saying that Boruto is a genius and that anything he's taught, he masters almost instantaneously. But if Boruto's trying to become Sasuke, but with a karma mark and stronger, there's a couple of things he's gonna need to be able to pull off. And while Boruto will never be able to use the Susanoo, Amaterasu, Kagutsuchi, or Heavenly Hand power, one thing that Boruto could pull off without the usage of the Sharingan would be Chidori. But it wouldn't be Chidori. It would be Purple Lightning. And thus, since Boruto was trying to become Sasuke, it would stand to reason that at some point or another, Boruto would ask to learn Chidori, or would bring up the fact that Sarada learned Chidori, and that he was upset that he didn't get to learn Chidori. To which Sasuke would say, yeah, you can't learn Chidori because it has an obvious blind spot, and you have no technical way to counteract that blind spot, even though the Jogan would probably counteract that blind spot. And thus Sasuke, who is a genius with access to the Sharingan, and therefore the ability to copy jutsus that he's seen, teaches Boruto Purple Lightning that he either learned from or stole from Kakashi. Because really, when it comes down to it, somebody of Sasuke's genius and chakra control level only needs to see a jutsu one time in order to use it themselves. And while we've never seen Kakashi try to hit Sasuke with a Purple Lightning, I can bet you pretty safely in the 12 or so years it's been since Kakashi created Purple Lightning that Sasuke has seen him use it at least once. And thus, in order to teach Boruto the Chidori without teaching him the Chidori, he teaches him Purple Lightning. Now really, when it comes down to it, I believe that's the most likely answer. I also find it kind of the most boring because it makes sense, it's easy, it's obvious, it uses connections we already know exist, and it's based off sound logic. But what about a theory that isn't based off sound logic and is less likely than either of the two that I just listed? Well, that's the one that we're going to be talking about right now, because there's also the possibility that neither Kakashi or Sasuke taught Boruto Purple Lightning, and instead it was taught to him by Kashin Koji. Now, when I say this possibility is less likely than Sasuke or Kakashi, I mean it, but the margin isn't all that noticeable. See, while Kashin Koji has never used Purple Lightning or anything like it. In fact, we've never seen him use lightning release, period. Let's not forget he's a clone of Jiraiya, who was able to use every single elemental nature release except for lightning. Listen, it's not that he wasn't able to use lightning, it's just that we see him use every other kind of nature elemental release except lightning. Fire, wind, earth, water, yin, yang, and you know, if he knows that many, he probably knows lightning. Come on, if you get to 6, you go to 7. See, because while Kashin Koji has never used Purple Lightning or anything like it, he has seen it in his fight against Kakashi. A fight he fled because he was afraid of the strength of Kakashi, because he knew a battle against Kakashi would be taxing and not worth it. And thus because he saw the strength of this lightning move and knew that in the 2 years that they spent together, the Boruto would need to add a strong lightning move to his arsenal in order to battle back against the likes of Hidari and Kawaki, he decides to teach Boruto a jutsu that was used against him. Because if you have no lightning moves of your own to teach your disciple, you might as well teach them the strongest one you've seen. And considering the fact that Kashin Koji is almost always equipped with some kind of video toad, there's a possibility that he was able to videotape the battle he had against Kakashi. And thus, even if he wasn't able to analyze Kakashi's moves in their battle, there is a possibility that he'd be able to run back the tape on his video toad and analyze the fight to the point where he's able to crack the code on Purple Lightning, which might sound like a stretch. But we've definitely seen people in the Naruto universe without Sharingans copy jutsu they've seen. And while these things take a little bit of time usually, like Minato creating the Rasengan to copy the Tailed Beast Bomb, if Kashin Koji and Boruto had anything during the time skip, it was time. And so maybe there's a possibility that Kashin Koji was able to reverse engineer Purple Lightning from his battle against Kakashi and teach it to Boruto in order to ensure that Boruto would be as strong as necessary for the trials and tribulations ahead. But like I said, out of all of the possibilities, that one is distinctly the least likely. But out of all of these possibilities, what do you guys believe is the most likely? Or are there other possibilities that you believe to be more likely than the 3 I listed? Tell me in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. I apologize if you saw my wounds at any point. Playing injured.